Race number 3 of this second round-robin stage of the Louis Vuitton America's Cup qualifiers. The pre-start underway, Ken.
How much are we killing?
A very quick push and hook potential here. Close to the starting line, but getting very deep in the box. The wind is going in this direction. These guys are going to just barely get up to the starting line right now, but very close to the starting line. They may end up tacking to get up to this starting line. That's how tight they are to the breeze. There's a head to win. Both boats are luffing head to win. They're trying to get gauge on GBR so they could possibly slingshot around the outside, but it's tough in this situation. Swedes are really close to the line, though, really close. So accelerating is going to be very difficult. Can Ben get around the front side of the Swedes before they pull the trigger? That is the tough part.
Well, he's looking to do that right here, right now. Ben Ainslie around the outside, and both of them away clean, and Land Rover BAR have just sneaked in front.
Really, really good job by Ben Ainslie there. He was in kind of a tough spot. He gapped off just enough to get that acceleration and to slingshot around the outside. Both boats were going less than 10 knots at the start, and he did a really nice job of going from 10 to 40 in no time.
Well, the competitive juices are flowing today for Ben Ainslie, who is desperate to put this campaign on a proper footing and show the world exactly what his team have. 43 knots even, as they tear across the water and past the first mark.
Exceptional start by the Brits. I think the way this starting box was configured today, everybody was forced back toward the starting line much earlier than we've seen in the past. And it made for a completely different looks off of the start line in every single race today.
Okay, driving.
We believe that the Swedes have their light air package in, as Lee McMillan reported from On the Water. But Lee, tell us about your great British boys. Give us a little inside information, my friend. What do we got under the hood on the British boat today?
Well, I can't say too much, but you know, it's a good setup for these conditions. Let's put it that way. So, you know, we've got a great team behind us, and you know, we've got the forecast spot on here. So, yeah, it's a great start by Ben there as well. So, good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you're fired.
You're fired. That was my.
Thanks for joining us, Lee. It's been lovely having you with us. He's in a tricky spot, but you did your level best.
I know we can't. We're just going to sell our no, mate.
By the end of today, we'll get them. You see just a little bit different shapes, a little more curvature on the British boat. Curvature here, straighter, flatter, more of an L angle there. But from a length standpoint, and the length we're always talking about, we draw a line down there and a line down there. They're pretty similar from a length standpoint, so I'm guessing they're both in their light air setups, and we're going to maybe unfire Lee McMillan at some stage here toward the end of the race to see if he'll come clean that they have their light air package in.
Because we can do that. So fickle. What a start, though, here for Ben Ainslie and the British team. They have got off to an excellent beginning, and they are looking confident. The helmsman in advance of this race talking about the changes that had been made overnight. Constant stream of developments and improvements, of course, through the America's Cup in its entirety. Everybody working day and night to gain that special edge. Split course.
Absolutely the right thing to do if you're the Swedish tactician Ian Percy. Try to gain a bit of leverage off on the other side of the racetrack. They've had very stable tacks and jibes all day long on their light air package. A little loose coming out of that one, but should be no harm, so no foul. It's not the best.
It's a little more wobbly than they'd like.
Calm it down. A bit slow here.
Brits look solid at this stage. Remember, as we get into lighter air, it's harder to keep on the foils 100% of the time. So we're always going to see lower numbers in this fly time as we get into lighter conditions. So 93, 94% is pretty solid. It's about 11, not 10 knots of breeze out there right now. A little puffy, a little shifty.
Don't get me too quick.
These guys look very solid at this stage. Little right-hand shift over the land, but that's a skinny bit of land. Skinny, that's the friction up here. That's the friction that the breeze is coming off the ocean. That's what makes it shifty and puffy sometimes, but you can tell it's very skinny and really doesn't affect the overall wind direction or strength all that much.
Okay, tacking.
Tacking towards gate 3, Land Rover BAR, and looking pretty comfortable at this point.
They only got down to 18 knots on that tack, which is as high a number on a tack as we've seen. Really, really effective on these light air boards. And again, well, we're speculating light air boards because our partner on the water won't help.
Interesting as well to hear Sir Ben Aisley talking about the communication systems needing to improve between himself and the tactician Giles Scott. They reckon that's been hampering them a little bit, so that needed fine-tuning.
Copy. Nice rider here. Something funky coming.
I don't want to step back to the right.
Okay.
Yeah, happy here. Keep it working.
That communication between the helmsman and tactician is crucial. These guys have been sailing together now for a couple years, and this is as good as we've seen the British team look.
Nice, Sue. You happy with this mode?
I'm happy with this mode for now, yeah, no lower.
Copy. Coming up the top. Nice.
Lee McMillan out on the water for us. Lee, is there something about the Swedish challenge that brings out the best in the British?
No, I don't think it's anything like that. You know, it's just it's all just down to a lot of hard work from everyone on the shore and you know, the sailing team, like earlier, debriefing every little moment that we've had and then just trying to gains. And at the moment, it's, you know, they're looking absolutely solid. We're out this morning for a bit of practice, just trying to get every minute we can on the water to make those gains. And at the moment, it's looking great.
As good as we've seen this team sail, their communication seems good, solid. Their maneuvers seem terrific. That wasn't the commentator's curse. They actually had a good tack while we were talking about how good their tacks have been. Good ley line call by Giles Scott. It's hard to pass a boat that's going this well that is also just simply not making any mistakes.
Come on, boys, just keep this working there.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Right, coming down to just the qualify. Get a good one here.
You can hear the urgency in the messages on board as well, can't you? Power of positive thinking. Let's get a good one in here. Round they go. And all in all, pretty slick.
Yeah, watch the pressure.
To be done here for Artemis Racing, the Swedish challenge, which is just faltering a little bit when you consider the confidence with which they arrived here in Bermuda. They've been out based in this wonderful island for some time now, but they seem to have been the form horses in practice. Things have not fallen for them just yet. One really, really good win over the USA. They've seen off the Japanese as well, but a lot of subpar performances from a boat which we know is quick and from a crew which we know is very talented.
Looking very sharp today on the Great Britain squad. If this held, and by the way, we've had 250-meter leads, 300-meter leads not hold in the past. But if this held, we'd have 4 teams all with 2 wins. BAR, Sweden, Japan, and France all with 2 wins.
Feels like we're light and lifted. Yeah.
breeze coming over that skinny little peninsula on the west side of
Keep it
Bermuda.
rolling, boys.
Gorgeous day, as they all have been.
It's about 25 seconds away. Pressure looks good all the
You
way
happy with the
back.
mode here, mate? Happy with the mode, Jolo?
Yeah, mode's good. Ley line's coming up in 15.
Okay, copy.
Just before boundary, want to get the right turn, left turn, sorry.
Copy.
Okay. In 5. In 3.
Okay, driving.
Yeah.
All action. Every last ounce of energy expended.
These guys are so much better at commentating than we are. Have I told you that? Have I mentioned that?
Yeah, good shout.
It's great. I mean, the onboard, yes, this is the best photography we've ever seen in sailing from all these different camera angles, but the onboard audio, when you get it this good and these guys are this communicative, and you really get a sense for
Taking the depth here.
how the conversational tone, there's just no level of voice raising, no level of stress. It's really, when you get it all together like this, it's pretty special.
Great boat speed from the British crew, and they are racing an outstanding race. A little bit of time for those holes in the water this time, but bouncing back well.
Okay, go to boundary here.
A little splash, but they got out of it good. When they've had that little stability problem in the past, they've stayed kind of glued to the water for a bit, and it's cost them big time. That time they were very quick to recover. These guys aren't exactly taking their foot off the pedal, though. Beautiful leeward mark rounding, leeward gate rounding. Artemis Racing is not going to go away. That I can guarantee you.
Come on, boys, stick it in here. Okay, mind it.
Just a little loose. Again, the Great Britain team has had some problems going around marks or gates in the past, just getting a little loose like that. Moisture on board.
Yeah, we've got a belt speed
But
here.
they recover very quickly. The Artemis team, though, is they created that split again
Settle it down
at
now.
the leeward gate. Only 125 meters in it, the lead has literally halved.
Settle down, guys. Yeah.
Well, this is looking like another tight finish potentially. We know about the boat speed that the Swedes have. We know about
Okay, his
the
tack is about
ability
20
of
minutes.
Nathan Outridge to
Copy.
conjure
Good
something
pressure
from
this
nothing.
way. Watch the heel.
These two looking well matched, and Seben Ainsley needing
Copy.
right now to keep his foot on the Swedish jugular.
They both have a couple more tacks to go, at least 2 more tacks to go before the top gate, so we're going to have some more maneuvers. And again, those maneuvers are the time where leads can evaporate.
Going good here. Just need to get to boundary to make intersection. Yeah.
Copy.
Keep the height.
Yeah.
Another one out on the boundary.
Watch the heel. Watch the heel.
Outridge has created that split. That's all you can do when you're behind. You get a little bit of a wind shift.
Gonna take this one, Nate.
So Nathan Outridge hoping for a little bit of extra pressure to fire Artemis Racing on their way. The Swedes attacking towards gate 5 and needing to come up with something pretty soon.
That's for sure. It's a pretty solid lead for the Brits right now. Interesting that Nathan Outridge, he actually grabs the wing sheet going into those tacks. You'll always notice that there's another person that goes across early. The winch is above deck. A lot of the winches on these boats are below deck, but their winch is above deck, a little more conventional. He grabs that wing sheet before the mark while they go across the boat, sprint across the boat.
Tough day for those grinders. The Swedes, of course, having raced in the opening contest today against the Kiwis. One race off, straight back in. Those arms moving all over again.
Only 175 meters between it, but the difference here could be that Land Rover BAR can get to the ley line and just do one more tacking in. They can do one more tacking in. They probably conserve that lead with a nice smooth tack.
Okay. Tacking.
It's all up to the ley line call of Giles Scott.
Keep a close eye on this maneuver because they've had one or two issues up at the top gate, as you were describing earlier, Ken. So when they get there, with the Swedes breathing down their neck, the pressure will be on.
The pressure is definitely on, but the Swedes have one more tack to go. So what looks like a very close lead right now should extend a little bit more. The BAR supporters can breathe a little bit at this stage, but the Swedes are not going away. Here's that tack that the Swedes have to do. BAR should be able to make it in one and go lay right through the gate.
Pressure coming. Yes, he's up full. He's just all good, guys. Just our vote, okay? Our vote.
So the pace good from Sir Ben Ainslie as he guides his crew towards gate 5, and a very important rounding here.
The lead almost doubles on those tacks. You know, went from about 75 meters to 150 meters just on one tack, even though the tacks are so smooth. Now it's just a quick sprint for BAR. It looks like they made it around that mark nice and smoothly. They didn't do any sort of plunge. One jibing in.
Taking it with a pretty wide berth. Is that an opportunity to minimize errors?
No, well, yes, for sure. But they've taken the correct gate. They should be able to do just one jibe and into the finish, where the Swedes are going to have to do 2 jibes. Again, though, this is a ley line call from Giles Scott, but their communication and their ley lines have been terrific thus far.
Yeah, light spot here. Watch it, the light spot.
It's not over yet. Not done yet, but the ace is held by the British at this point.
Very good. I think this has been an exceptional tactical race by Giles Scott. It's kind of that geometry of how to play within this rectangle, this new race course for the modern day America's Cup.
So around the final gate and heading for victory, Land Rover BAR. This will be a real fillip to everybody involved in their operation. It's been a tough couple of days. Don't forget the big collision with the Japanese on Saturday, which left them with a massive hole in the hull. That had to be repaired overnight. And the collective, absolutely key in their recovery.
I believe this is their first win since that collision against the Japanese.
Stretching well clear now.
Yeah, they set up the last part of that. What looked like it was getting narrower. It's always about how many more maneuvers you have left to do, how many tacks, how many jibes you have left to do. And this lighter air especially is where it shows up. And they did a really nice job of negotiating the top of the course and limiting their maneuvers, and therefore having a nice little lead coming into the finish.
Big British support here in Bermuda. The Union flags raised high. And hurtling down the runway with smiles on their faces.
And Andrew into a jibe.
It's been something of a roller coaster for the British so far here in Bermuda, but a real morale booster. After 4 consecutive defeats, it is a British victory.
Okay, and jibing here.
Back on track. And again,
Nice work, guys.
a win over the Swedes for the 2nd time.
A British victory, as you're calling the British victory. He just plunges the thing down about 6 feet underwater and soaks his buddies who've just worked so hard. Ruthless.
So another blow to the challenge of Artemis Racing, the Swedish team under the helmsmanship of Nathan Outridge. Just for whatever reason, not quite finding themselves on the money.